Introduction to genetically modified organism or GMOs is an organism or a microorganism whose genetic material has been altered to contain a segment of DNA from another organism. Modern recombination DNA technology enables the stitching together of pieces of DNA, regardless of the sources of the pieces. Since the 1980s, the technology has been used extensively in the lab by researchers for the countless purpose to make copies of genes or proteins, to determine gene function, to study gene expression patterns, and to create models for human diseases. One application has been to generate food crops that are modified in an advantageous manner for the producer or the consumer. Currently, the GM crops on the market have bacterial genes introduced into their genomes that are encoded for pest and herbicide resistance. In theory, this should cut down the amount of chemicals a farmer needs to spray, but in practice, that goal has not been realized as pests and weeds become resistant to chemicals being used, meaning every time we spray, insects get stronger, weeds get stronger as we go. In the U.S., the most commonly found GM crops are soy, corn, cotton, and canola. We will be presenting the positive and the negative effects of GMOs on farm crops.
There are a few positive effects of GMOs, including insect resistance, herbicide resistance, improved nutrition, increased storage, and a lower production cost. Insect resistance just means that GMO provides protection against pests, so genetically modified organisms produce a toxin to kill pests. They're herbicide resistant, which means they can withstand herbicide applications. Improved nutrition. Genetically modified organisms are modified to produce a substance of nutritious value, whether they already have some nutritious value or not, it just adds more. The GMOs have an increased storage, like an increased shelf life, so crops can be stored longer and avoid spoilage, and they also have a lower production cost overall.
The American Academy of Environmental Medicine urges doctors to prescribe non-GMO diets for all patients. The reasoning is that animal studies show organ damage, gastrointestinal and immune system disorders, along with accelerated aging and infertility. Human studies have also shown that food can leave material behind which can lead to long-term problems. For instance, the insecticide produced by GM corn was found inside the blood of pregnant women and unborn fetuses. Another negative factor is that GMOs increase herbicide use. Most GM crops are engineered to be herbicide tolerant. Monsanto, for example, sells Roundup-ready crops designed to survive applications of the Roundup herbicide. Between 1996 and 2008, U.S. farmers sprayed an extra 338 million pounds of herbicide on GMOs. The overuse of Roundup resulted in superweeds that became resistant to the herbicide, which led to farmers using even more of the toxic herbicides every year. GMOs also affect the environment. GM crops and their herbicide can harm birds, insects, amphibians, marine ecosystems, and soil organisms. They reduce biodiversity, pollute water resources, and are unsustainable. For instance, GM crops are eliminating habitats for monarch butterflies, whose populations are down 50% in the U.S. Roundup has also been shown to cause birth defects in amphibians, embryonic deaths, endocrine disruptions, and organ damage in animals even at very low doses. GM canola has also been found growing wild in North Dakota and in California, which threatens to pass its herbicide-tolerant genes onto weeds.